This was another argument I saw a lot. So Debo, just a running back, a glorified running back. Brandon Aiyuk, wide receiver 1 on this team, as in the guy, the go-to guy on this team. And people say that because a lot of times he was last year. Kittle was out, Debo was out, Aiyuk caught a lot of passes. Does that mean that he's going to be wide receiver 1, the go-to guy in 2021?
No. People need to get their expectations in order with Brandon Aiyuk. When everybody's healthy, the go-to receiving target on this team is George Kittle.
Correct.
There's no doubt about that.
No doubt.
It's George Kittle.
Has to be.
Yeah, it's not even close, no matter how good Brandon Aiyuk looked as a rookie. It's George Kittle. That's how they pay him. That's how good he is, and he deserves to be that. So that to me, I guess I can see where people come from. Like in the most conventional sense, Brandon Aiyuk is the receiver 1. He's going to line up as the X receiver on the outside probably 80% of the time. Mm-hmm. He's going to be the guy that sees the number 1 cornerbacks. He's going to line up outside, and he's going to run the most receiver routes. You know, he's going to run a blaze out like Julio Jones did. He's going to run, a varied right
double
route,
moves.
Right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't make him the number 1 receiving target. The best route runner on this team 2 years ago was who, Grant?
Dante Pettis.
Emmanuel Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think meant 3 years ago. Sorry.
Yeah. But does that make Emmanuel Sanders their number 1 receiving target? No. It was still George Kittle. And then Debo really caught on at the end of the season. It became Debo's second. So and Aiyuk is, Pettis was the X receiver at the end of his rookie season, and he finished it strong too. And so, a
lot of people thought he was going to be wide receiver 1.
A lot of people thought not just receiver 1, he was going to be a superstar.
Yes, absolutely. That he was just different. He moved different, Vish.
Yeah. So, I think that there is a little bit, and this is going to kind of go away from this topic. I do think there's a little bit of over expectations with Brandon Aiyuk. I think I've seen conversations go a little too far in terms of who Aiyuk is. Like Niners fans really think Aiyuk is the next Julio Jones based on the way I see it.
Or the next Jerry Rice. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'd like to temper that expectation just because, Julio Jones is maybe the freakiest athlete to ever play the receiver position. He's in type of a conversation.
You can see like the logic. It's like, well, George Kittle, even though he's going to lead the team in targets, he's technically a tight end. And Debo Samuel, even though could get more touches than Brandon Aiyuk this season, he's a glorified running back because he carries the ball so much. So that by default, Brandon Aiyuk is the number 1 wide receiver on this team. I guess it depends how you define number 1 wide receiver. To me, it's the guy who leads the team in targets, catches, yards, touchdowns.
Me too. It's not the conventional sense of who the X receiver is, right?
No.
Yeah, like
Kittle's wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I could give a rat's ass about it, honestly, because George Kittle is the number 1 target on this team. And so I look at it and I say, and this isn't to say that Brandon Aiyuk isn't special. Like, I think, Grant, you were the first one saying that Brandon Aiyuk is going to be a superstar during his first training camp. And I'm not saying like anybody who watched Aiyuk last year saw a special football player. He looks special. He looks different in terms of how he moves. His body looks different as an athlete. He's a hell of a route runner, beats all kinds of coverage.
And he could become the focal point of their passing game at some point. He could. He absolutely could. But I don't think he is yet.
I don't think so either.
No.
And I think that's more because you have a George Kittle. And that's where I think like this conversation is a little bit out of hand because the receiver 1 on this offense is George Kittle. Now, is he the receiver 2? I think there'll be games he will be the receiver 2. I think there's games that Debo will be the receiver 2 in terms of target distribution, not based on who's the number 1 receiver on a progression or something like that. But at the same time, like the guy that's going to end up getting the football the most is going to be George Kittle. And people are saying I'm discrediting Aiyuk's potential. Why? Because I don't think he's the next Julio Jones. Like, I don't think Brandon Aiyuk is going to be the next Hall of Fame receiver who outclasses Jerry Rice in terms of yards per game. Like, come on. Oh, man, Grant, I only think Brandon Aiyuk is going to be a really good receiver, but I think there's also a lot of really good young receivers in the NFL.